how it's going to come out. How would we put this analogy to work? I don't know. We're giving up on it. Moving on as many other things as I do. Anyway, top right side, we got our blue Protoss, Mr. ZEST, representing no man but himself. In his other side, there's the red Zerg. There is the Alpha X player. He is RAGNAROK. Or Shin-Hee Boom, as some other people call him, of course. Let me... Oh, shoot. Oh, RAGNAROK. Why you do this to me, RAGNAROK? Okay, there we are. Alright. We are settled. Okay. RAGNAROK versus ZEST. What are our anticipations for this one? This could go either way, really. I mean, we saw it the previous time. RAGNAROK looked really strong, but ZEST, I don't know. Maybe there was just a couple of tiny tweaks he could have made in his build order, his approach to the matchup overall, and I do think that those situations should be quite winnable for him. Or maybe he's just going to force the game to go his own way, right? With either some aggression of his own or forcing RAGNAROK down a certain attack path with his own unit composition. We'll see. ZEST is too spicy? He's pretty spicy, alright. He is pretty darn spicy. But he already did lose once to RAGNAROK earlier today. ZEST loves to do the blocking of the hatcheries once again here. Giving us a clear-cut example of why ZEST is in fact an absolute, well, party pooper. To mention, there is in fact the Stargate play coming up here for ZEST. I would love to see the Oracle play once out. See how RAGNAROK responds to it this time around. The Oracle play, that's the thing when you are going for the Oracles like that, right? As the Zerg player, you're just kind of like, oh wow, you made a third Oracle. Oh wow, you made a fourth Oracle. Oh, a fifth Oracle. Wait, what? Where's this going? I would have been able to shut this down so incredibly easily if I knew there would just be more and more Oracles coming in, but you just don't expect it, which is why it's one of these things that can catch you off guard, and felt like it did that one series or that one match right there where ZEST finding a good opportunity there to really just throw a couple of wrenches in the monkey bars. Really give RAGNAROK something to chew on. There's the Protoss third base. First couple of Void Ray and Oracle, well, flying units really, are coming out to play as well. Void Ray so far, not having too much success with the finding of Overlords to slay. Oh. One, two, three drones. Okay, can he get? He might get a fourth. You may as well, right? The Oracle's dead anyway. Told you. I thought for a moment it was going to survive. I would have looked like an absolute idiot. Alright. Another Stargates coming down. As well as the Twilight Council and the Forge. Roach Warren here for RAGNAROK. So it's looking a little bit similar as to what we saw the other two games, where he did just rush in with a ton of Queens, Roaches, Ravagers, and Banelings. Does seem to be kind of his go-to style at this moment in time. It's a very interesting style, to be frank. It makes me wonder how exactly it operates, because it just doesn't seem like it's something that should work in certain situations, and then it just does anyway. But alright, if he is gonna try to push across the map here, even with the queens and such, I would recommend already starting to spread the creep out a little bit further. Or I guess you could just send the queens out a lot sooner as well. Making some new queens to take over the egg duty. Make the egg duty. Quite a few void rays. Not slowing down with that production, but the queens also, of course, continuing to their march. Will be standing high and mighty. Proud to be the queen. Every single one of them. One big family. Which is what really happens in the real world as well, of course. Biles attempted on the void ray. Ragnarok has to be a little bit careful here. Nice force field from ZEST. Shutting his movement down. The queens have a bit of trouble getting on top of the void rays right now. They have arrived and they have started nipping away at the void rays right now. Still a very rough spot for them to be in. Especially with the shield battery overcharge here coming into full effect as well. Ragnarok trying to make a move with his ground forces to take that out. The transfusions are helping out as well, but it does not seem to be enough here for Ragnarok. Ragnarok will be held, and it's going to lose all these queens on the return home as well. Hopefully, he'll be able to snipe away at a couple of these void rays still before it all goes belly up. But belly up it will go, and it will be sooner rather than later. I don't know. Ragnarok, will he try to continue onwards with this game? It looks like he will. Got a bunch of Hydralisk on the way here. But it's not looking all that fantastic. It's not looking like that's a good chance here that Ragnarok will still take this. It's a very big map to do the Queen March. Yeah, that's a good point, really. It's probably the biggest map where you can make this happen on. Seven extra gateways being produced as the Templar Archives as well gets further developments. Creep spread a bit dead in the water for a while now. I've been looking at these 3 specks of creep going everywhere for a good amount of time now. Looks like we are having some specs going further forward now. Still desperately need that creep spread, especially if you're going for a Hydralisk army. You need to have creep. The supply right now is a bit misleading because Ragnarok has a lot of supply inside of the roaches still as well, I believe. Guess we can take a look. Ugh. Oh, it's only one roach, one ravager. Well, yeah, I'm still gonna go heavy into favor for ZEST here just because of that work account. And also this. I mean, he has been having just more mining going on for a long time here. He should be able to handle whatever comes at him. I think his army supply might be lower, but I think his army value might be higher. No? Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say, right? I'm not sure. Is there an army value tab? I don't think there is. Here we go. No, we don't. Ragnarok, kind of on the flanks here with those units. Would be nice if you found a War Prism or something like that, of course. Doesn't quite manage to do so. Finds a lot of zealots on their way over, though, maybe, perhaps. Not sure why they were in that little corner. Maybe trying to figure out whether or not it's safe to expand there. Big warp in of zealots in the main base. Were too many units sent across here. Ragnarok. Oh, shoot. I forgot something here, by the way. Ragnarok still kind of working on the infestation pit as well, I believe, before he can go up to hive tech here. Which is something that feels like needs to happen sooner rather than shorter. As the, well, the shadows are on the wall. The end game is approaching. The fleet beacon is in construction. Ragnarok might try to just break this game open before it actually gets to that point, though. A lot of good storms there being utilized by ZEST. Ragnarok takes a ton of damage from the entire thing, but we'll be able to get a full surround going on as well. Good spread out there from the units. Once again, just kind of sending in bit by bit in order to get all the AoE splash damage served out. More great storms overall as ZEST is being pressured backwards. Did Ragnarok do it once again? Did he manage to push his advantage? The probes there trying to tank the damage from the banelings. The banelings not falling for it. Will go instead for all the zealots that will be being warped in. And with the rest of the zealots there as well, if they were still available, I think this fight would definitely go into ZEST's favor. But with just half of those zealots, it seems like the favor lies with Ragnarok. Ragnarok moving on forwards right now with quite a weird army composition without any upgrades either, actually, in this entire ordeal. Comes in with more queens, more hydras and zerglings. Gotta still be careful though, of course. Those archons, they do not mess around. It's a rough time for Ragnarok though to really push into these bases. Trying to see which way he should go. Gets rid of one of the High Templar here. Shield batteries need to get taken out. There they are. They do get taken out. It's Ragnarok slowly pushing further and further into the Protoss space. Trying to rid himself of every bit of infrastructure that he can. Getting rid of the +1 air weapons attack. That would be good as well, but maybe not essential. Not as essential as just being able to survive the Archons and the Zealots. Which does seem to be quite a struggle at this moment in time. Needs to clean out a couple more of these Archons, I would say, if he really wants to get a lot of value. But alright, we'll just move backwards right now. Okay. Interesting. Ragnarok doesn't manage to break through, but he did do a lot of damage. ZEST, on the other hand, he managed to hold on. And he managed to get himself into a position where he will be able to start making more and more carriers. But he does need a fourth base, right? The fourth base is still an essential thing that he needs to recapture. Needs to reclaim. He cannot be affording to lose this one too many times anymore. So it's up to Ragnarok. What does Ragnarok want to do? Does he want to try to respond to the tacking up of his opponents? And try to get some tacking up to go towards his own favor as well? Or is he just going to try to get himself maxed out once more? Get everything together and go for a big push once again. Looks like we have ourselves an answer here. As Ragnarok is starting to rush across the map. Trying to find an area where he will be able to come in here. Coming in with not that much at this moment. And yeah, that is going to be it. That is a GG. Ragnarok just not having enough anymore to really get himself a victory. And ZEST takes game number 1 in the grand scheme of things. Well played indeed there. ZEST capturing the hearts and minds of the entire audience, hopefully. As we look forward to map number 2, I mean, this is the same way we kind of opened up on the first series, right? And that was also ZEST taking the first game, and then suddenly Ragnarok taking 2 maps in a row straight afterwards. If that happens here once again, I'd be impressed. I'd be impressed with Ragnarok, but also with just the sheer value of fun games that we're getting overall. Alright, game number 2 of the 5th best of 3 of today. After this one, guys, we'll have a little bit of a moment before we have the next group settled as well, which will be on Wednesday, I believe. Then the playoffs, they should be on Friday, I believe. Friday, maybe Saturday, one of those days, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, guys, moving on forwards. Game number 2. Lovely. Lovely. Alright, top right side, we got ourselves the blue Protoss player. Teamless right now, but looking pretty sharp. Blue Protoss ZEST. His opponents in the red, fighting for Alpha X. He's the Zerg Menace. Will he be able to make it? RAGNAROK. 2 games required for him, of course. Oh, what's up, Woodoo? It's been a while. How you doing? What a game. That was quite a wild game indeed. Hope we're going to get another one of those overall. Hopefully 2 more of those, of course, but we'll have to wait and see. You're doing pretty good? That's good to hear. How am I? I'm doing alright as well. Doing pretty good as well. There's been a lot of snowfall in the Netherlands, and it doesn't happen all that often, so, you know, I'm just kind of sitting here being like, oh, wow, okay, there's snow here in the Netherlands. That's crazy. Crazy! I haven't gone outside, though, of course, obviously, but it looks cool. So that's nice. That is nice. They say it's gonna snow even more. They always over-exaggerate on the news, though, to be fair. Like 20 centimeters of snow, and here we are. It's like maybe 2, maybe 3. Why don't you go outside? Because it's been snowing, clearly. It'd be cold. Doesn't stop snowing? Yeah. And I think the Netherlands has it pretty good overall. You know, in some countries it doesn't stop snowing when it gets annoying. In other countries they've never had snow ever, and that is also kind of like, well, I wouldn't want to be robbed of the experience of snow. But in the Netherlands it's like, alright, well, sometimes we have snow like once every 3 years, and then we have enough snow to do something with it, and then that's it. That's all we get. That stays around for like maybe a day, maybe 2, if we're lucky. But that's about it. We're too low. We're too low on the overall spectrum. Is it true they're moving the red light district out of downtown Amsterdam? I have not heard about it, so I don't know. Could be. Who knows? Don't really visit myself, you see, so. Alright. So that's going with the Stargate opening again, by the way, as we're seeing the Void Ray moving around. RAGNAROK just kind of droning up as you do against the Stargate opening. It's as is. Business as usual. Oh. Oracle there, a bit too jumpy on top of that Spore and Queen instantly. Sometimes the bot is lazy. True. Ro8 and Lair coming up. RAGNAROK starting to once again kind of go down the same path we've seen him go to a couple of times now. Zest is going to go with the double Stargate. So a lot of Void Rays. It's a smaller map to do the Queen push on, but we'll see. I think that is what we're going to get, though, from Ragnarok here. Another attempt at the Queen push. As Zest is just making more and more Void Rays, getting further and further prepared for something like that. Oracle could do a bit of a better job, I suppose, kind of just figuring out what the army of Ragnarok is doing. It's kind of just sitting at the forefront of the creep, which is where you will see the Queens leave from, so don't get me wrong, it's still good, but still. Oh, the Queens might walk into these Void Rays right here that are already moving over across towards the main base in order to get a snipe of. That's abysmal. Ragnarok will not have enough at home now in the main base, I believe, to do anything about this. 4 Void Rays just on top of his lair. The layer could go down because of this now, because he's walking his Queens across the map. Okay, doing a good job so far. The Queens are deciding to move backwards here. He realizes, I'm just going to lose everything if I don't move these Queens backwards. And that is exactly true. Zest here finding a wonderful opportunity. There we go. The lair might still go down, guys. It is a likelihood. Okay, with the transfuse there, yeah, it should be okay. That's a lot of transfuse energy. Zest getting a couple more drones instead, and kind of runs out of that area here. The Lone Oracle, another attempt there as well. Great efforts, but not quite being his lucky day. Void Ray still being rather annoying. And Ragnarok is playing the rug just kind of being pulled underneath from him. We'll have to come up with an entire different strategy right now in order to still make this go his way. How many Void Rays is that? That's like 8 Void Rays right now. I think we still have 1 or 2 maybe on the defenses as well. Oh boy, that is a good catch. Those Hydras is their lucky day. Oh, just barely don't get the 3rd. I really thought they would have been able to do so, but I mean, getting 2 of them, putting 1 in the red, also pretty darn good as well. I was thinking, one of the worst things you can do for a Protoss is just kind of get their units onto the very low HP, because they never regenerate their HP, right? There's no way for them to ever replenish that. So if you manage to just get the entire Protoss army low consistently throughout the game, then they'll be at a point where 200 supply is just like all very brittle units that are about to die any seconds, because, well, all they got is the shields. Especially if you have EMP then as well. Oh, imagine that. Alright, well, anyway. Nice storm upgrades here, together with the 4th base coming up for Zest. Good eye on that Changeling as well. Ragnarok, I think he's going to make a bunch of Banelings right now, and with that, perhaps try his luck once again with the offensive here. 50 supply difference. I don't know. This is like a less than 40, so 35 supply difference. Well, yeah, around 35, 40. Okay, now it's 30. Okay, now it's 40. Goes quick. Alright, maxed out here is Ragnarok. Remember, the army units of the Protoss here just a lot better overall, a lot more valuable, especially with those shield batteries there as well. The Storm is the counter. against the Baneling, the Zergling, and the Hydralisk. Now that's the entire army of Ragnarok here. He needs to have those Banelings get good connections, otherwise this is absolutely pointless. Alright, here we go. Banelings coming in from every which angle. This is a lot of stuff that Ragnarok is bringing. Kind of getting stuck there with this Banelings on the left side because of the Hydras and the Queens there. And it does not look like he has enough once again to push through here. The Hydras are just too squishy against those Storms. The Queens not going to be able to do anything either. And the Banelings, I mean the Banelings versus Archons and Immortals, never the best to begin with either. Reinforcements for Ragnarok, making it look a little bit better there for a moment, but reinforcements for ZEST probably going to be the deciding factor here as it pushes on through. And G is called. ZEST takes game number 2 as well. Ragnarok, unfortunately, not being able to